welcome back to Just One Question. And I used to keep track of how many editions I had done of this, but now we've been in lockdown forever, so I don't keep track anymore. We'll call it the billionth episode, and hope for the best. But this is a particularly special one because a couple of years ago, I had the great pleasure of going to Ireland and going to their Houses of Parliament and hanging out there. And during that thrilling trip, I got to meet Gina London. Gina is a leadership communications expert. She is a former CNN anchor, and she is now hanging out her shingle, helping people communicate better in Dublin and beyond. So welcome, Gina. Thanks so much for being on Just One Question. And tell us, how are you doing throughout this crazy time?
You know what? It's great to be with you, Nick, and I'm really excited to be your billionth person you've interviewed because I think you give me a new car as part of that. Is that what you told me before we went on air?
Yeah,
So thank
absolutely.
you for
The
that.
new car. Yeah.
Great.
And the
But
lifetime subscription to Publishers Weekly. Absolutely. Yep.
oh, excellent. And ongoing podcast with yourself. Hey, no, seriously, I am doing better than I expected in March and everything locked down because
Mm.
I normally had made my living doing in-person training and speaking and coaching engagements, and my entire calendar went poof up in smoke when lockdown began. And I am, as you said, I put up my own shingle, I run my own business, so that was cataclysmic to me as an entrepreneur, as a startup gal. But like many, that word pivot came into play, and I started putting up virtual trainings and coaching and speaking engagements, and those began to take off. So, from a business standpoint, I kept the lights on, been able to continue to pay rent for the home and my schooling for my daughter, but it has been a struggle from the isolation standpoint, from coaching clients that I've met and I've worked with and I've said goodbye to, and I've never seen their feet
Mm.
for all this time. And that kind of sense of weird, we can do it, but do we really like doing it this way? We first thought, oh, hey, it's going to be the new way to do everything virtually. And I think leading into your next question, maybe it's not. I think a lot of people are feeling that they're not getting used to it. I feel like they're feeling that they're gradually slipping away, and it's hard to regroup and refocus. So with the new year, that's something that I'm committing for myself and trying to get my clients and my colleagues excited about that too, that if we can give more support and more encouragement to each other, it's going to be more helpful during the time that, even though vaccines are being distributed, it's not as quickly as maybe we had thought, that we'd wake up on January 1st and it would feel like a whole different year. And instead, for many of us, it feels a bit like 2020 2.0. So
Mm.
we're doing okay, we're
Good.
healthy, and we're grateful, but it's not easy, and it depends not just day to day, but sometimes even moment to moment.
Yes. Yeah, I understand and am feeling in a very similar way. You feel grateful and yet at the same time you feel the strains of this strange existence. None of us thought it would go on this long or be this difficult. But I'm really glad to hear you've made the pivot, much as I dislike the word, as we all dislike
Me
that
too.
word. We all had to do it. So well done, and I'm glad things are working out. So let's jump into just one question, which is you mentioned we're all hoping for better in 2021. And I think, like everything else during this pandemic, it may take a little longer than we thought, but we are coming back at some point to face-to-face communications again. When we do, we will be changed. We will have been changed by this experience. And I just wonder, in your mind, from what you feel now and what you see now, how will we be different when we do finally come back together?
My hope is that we stay changed. My hope,
Hmm.
Nick, is that we stay committed to wellness, that we stay committed to conversations, not just with our colleagues virtually or when we begin to do more of a hybrid model, which will ultimately take place, to continuing to be real and caring and compassionate with people and not get back into too busy to care. My concern is that we go from crisis to chronic problem and we forget about the crisis and we start getting into those patterns of behavior from before. So I hope that people and organizations will codify so they can reflect back on what they did differently and how it impacted, and they codify that so they can move forward and go continue working like that. I think that we will be more amenable to not travel if someone wants to have an interaction and have a Zoom meeting with us from another country. That I think is going to continue no matter what, because we see that we can do this. But my biggest concern is that we stay, after we have all of our initial hugs of people that we couldn't hug for over a year, I hope that we still keep that level of care and connection in our minds. I've been able to network virtually with more people and reach out and make more collaborations than I ever have in the past. And I hope people stay open to that. I hope people don't go back into their busyness and forget about the kind of care and the kind of compassion that many of us sought out and received during this time.
Oh, I love that. That's such a great way to look at things, and from your mouth to God's ear, as we say, that we really hope that that's the case. We would want to keep the best of the things that we've learned and the ways in which we changed, and jettison the ones that we don't need to hang on to. And it will be nice to hug people again, but you're absolutely right. It would be a shame if everything that we've learned would get lost. So Gina London, as expected, a magnificent answer to just one question. Thank you so much.
Nick, it's been a great pleasure. And when you send me that catalog of cars I get to pick for being the billionth interviewee, I look forward to receiving that.
Yeah, it only has Rolls Royces and Maseratis and Lamborghinis in it. It's a very select thing. So so be prepared. You're going to need a place to park it and keep it safe. And yeah, dream on, Gina.
Thanks, Nick.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
exactly. And then I woke up. It's been great talking with you, and I'm really grateful to be a part of this. And again, another example of how people connect to one another and help each other. So thank you for this opportunity to share my own experience. Thanks.